Welcome back to another episode of Gritty Iron Game. We had a pretty good Monday Night Football game for you. Cincinnati was on the road at Jacksonville. It was a pretty even back and forth game throughout. Time of possession was separated by 9 seconds. Both teams were 3-3 in the red zone. Both teams were playing like they had something on the line. Cincinnati obviously fighting for their season. Jacksonville fighting for that number one seed. Really, the only difference in this game was the Bengals overcoming their one turnover 1-0 in that category, and the Jags getting outrushed 156-71. I think that was the difference in this one. 2.8 yards per carry. Really wasn't a lot of help for Trevor Lawrence in that backfield, and we know Trevor Lawrence did leave this game with an injury, so two backup quarterbacks were leading teams in this one. CJ Beathard did come in off the bench and kept Jacksonville in the game. Obviously gave him a good chance to win this one. Came down to a field goal kick that the kicker wasn't able to get through the uprights. And then we obviously know on the other side, Jake Browning, he's in there for Joe Burrow. He dominated. If you look at the stat sheet, 32 out of 37, 354, a touchdown. Also ran one in as well. So, it is a number 9, but it is JB. That 9 is inverted, and it's a 6 on his chest now. But Cincinnati didn't really look like they missed too much of a beat without Joe Burrow at quarterback. Something that's probably not sustainable. But how do you feel about this game on Monday night?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think look, I don't if Trevor doesn't go down midway through the fourth quarter, who knows how the game ends up. I mean, it was a hard-fought battle between two teams up until the end. For me, look, I think what this says to me more than anything is just like Jacksonville is still so untrustworthy.
They're
You
not
know,
ready yet.
they're still finding their footing with who they are and like their playmakers and with their coaching and just their schemes, everything. It's just they're still building this thing up to get to where they want to be. And for me, it's like this just goes to show, like, because this game without Joe Burrow, Jacksonville should have went out and handled business, and they didn't. I mean, you're giving up that many points to this team with that backup quarterback. Come on, bro. Like, Jacksonville, that's a fluky 8-4 in my opinion.
Yeah, when Trev went out, the game was close. It wasn't like Cincinnati had a momentum shift and went on a run from that point. Um, the concern was the defense for me. I think the offense for Jacksonville outside of the running game was able to spread the ball around. We know Christian Kirk did get hurt on that opening reception he had. So he had 1 for 26 before he left the game with that groin injury, which I thought hurt Jacksonville a little bit. But they were able to spread the ball around the field via the passing game. But I thought Etienne, again, over these past few weeks to a month, really hasn't been able to get going on the ground. Really starting to show for this offense. They're struggling and stalling out at key points in these games. But the defense was the major issue. To allow 5 yards of carry to Joe Mixon and the guys over there, as well as give up 150 to Jamar Chase and allow Browning to throw for over 350, that's not a recipe for success, especially when you're looking at that number one seed potentially in the AFC. Are we good here? You want to move on?
Yeah, we can go.
Cool. We'll get right into it then. We got Gravediggers. I think I'm missing a team on here. We have the Panthers, Cardinals, Giants, Packers, Giants, Bears. I said Giants twice, so we're actually good. We have all the teams we need. So let me run that back again. Panthers, Cardinals, Giants, Packers, Bears, Titans, Patriots, Raiders. So 5 in the NFC, 3 in the AFC. Again, we both have a team to eliminate this week. Would you like to do the honors?
Yeah, I'm gonna take another easy NFC team with Washington Commanders here. I just think, with the NFC East being the way it is, with I mean, you already got rid of the Giants, but they're neck and neck with the Commanders. So, Washington, just like the Giants, they ain't catching Philly. They're not catching Dallas, and they're not catching those wild card teams up top. So I gotta give them the boot, and I think that this offseason is going to be a whole reset in that organization, from coaches to players. It's going to be a whole type of rehaul, I think.
I agree. So you were NFC. That would have been my NFC team. I think that was a pretty obvious one with everything that's going on in Washington this season. My AFC team, I know there's a lot of hoopla going on right now about the quarterback coming back and whatever, but We've mentioned it a couple of times. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, it's time to go. Zach Wilson has been nominated quarterback 1 again for this week, so they're just playing musical chairs at that position, the most important position in football. This team is just being ran like a joke right now. You kind of went into the season feeling like Zach Wilson was the option. Fortunately, Aaron Rodgers got hurt week 1. You were able to see that he wasn't the option, and you guys still chose to go with him as the option. So you deserve to be in this conversation right here. Week 14. Before we get to that, do you have week 13 picks on hand?
I
Results
do.
of
Let
them
me just
anyways.
pull that back up real quick. So the week 13 picks, record wise, it went. I was 9-4. You were 8-5.
Ah, Lord. Okay.
So on the season, I'm sitting at 112-66, and you're at 105-73.
I think we have time to make a run. Everybody's did their buys. These are some funky games coming up, especially this week.
I
And
agree.
we're just going to jump right into it, man. Thursday night football. We have the Patriots at 2-10, at Pittsburgh 7-5. Mac Jones was benched. I believe he will stay benched for this game. The Patriots defense has allowed 46 points since week 9, which is the best in the NFL. Unfortunately, that record shows 0-4 because the offense has been so terrible. Steelers, though, not a team that I have great faith in on that offensive side of the football either. I think if the Patriots are able to hold the Steelers under 10 points, they might be able to muster up 13 this week. And I'm going to go one last time with my upset of the year. Patriots over the Steelers on the road Thursday night football.
Look, for me, it all comes down to Pittsburgh being at home. It's a Thursday night game. I'm taking Mike Tomlin over Bill Belichick. I think Tomlin, compared to Belichick, is in his prime. And I think, Bill is as frustrated as anyone can be. I don't think he's sleeping well at night. There's nothing good
No,
about
he's
this.
not.
I mean, credit to their defense for, holding these offenses the past 3 weeks under 10 points and everything. But these offenses haven't been much to write home about. They're not doing it to explosive offenses. So, but that's not to say Pittsburgh is explosive by any means. But I just think I'm going to take Pittsburgh's defense over New England's defense. And, when it's all said and done, I think the boys in black and yellow are going to get after that mediocre to terrible New England offense. I don't think there's any answer that I don't think there's an answer that the offensive staff in New England can put together to combat Tomlin's defense. I just don't see it, especially going into a hostile environment in Pittsburgh. Nah.
It's fair. Everything is working against the Patriots. I hate that they're on the road in a short week against a team like Pittsburgh. TJ Watt was banged up a little bit last week. Kenny Pickett was banged up a little bit last week. Either Pickett or Trubisky, I don't have tremendous faith in. I think they'll throw the ball to the Patriots or give the ball to the Patriots a few times. Will they be able to do something with the short field? Maybe 3 field goals, 4 field goals, make this a 12-10 game. That's kind of what I'm hoping here. But I could also see it being 27-3 Pittsburgh, and it's over by the second half or second quarter. So we're going to see. Next game, Rams at 6-6, at yours truly 9-3. So I'll keep it short, even though Rams are fighting for their life. They have been playing well lately, specifically offensively, but I think Baltimore has something bigger in sights, and this is going to be just another stepping stone on the road to our championship this year.
Yeah, look, I think, I don't think I could ever bring myself to pick LA to go to Baltimore in the colder season and win this game, especially with the season Baltimore's having. I just think, Baltimore's, like you said, fighting for something bigger, and, they're still in the running for that top seed. So they're going to, everything they can do as long as they stay healthy to get it done. Yeah, I got Baltimore fairly easy in this one.
So I like that we're coming off a bye. It could potentially be a trap game if you've taken a look at our end schedule. Next week we have Jacksonville, then San Fran, then Miami, then we finish with Pittsburgh. So this will be our easiest opponent for the rest of the season. So we're going to see how we come out. Hopefully, we have that dog mentality, that championship mentality, and put our foot on their throat from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Colts at 7-5 on the road at Cincinnati, 6-6. Colts have been one of the hotter teams over the past month of football or so. Bengals obviously lost that first game without Joey B, but won Monday night against Jacksonville in Florida. So two teams obviously still fighting for that 7th seed, potentially the 6th seed in the AFC. Both teams still very alive in that race. How you feeling about this one?
This was probably the toughest one for me this week to come up with, just because of, you know, both teams having backup quarterback play. I obviously like Minshew better than I do Browning. But I never know the scary thing is I never know what I'm going to get from either of these two teams, especially with the backup quarterback. So, and I think I think most people will probably lean towards Cincinnati this week based off how they went into Jacksonville and got it done. But I'm going to go with the Colts here. I just think that the Colts are probably, feeling more up to the task than Cincinnati this week to go into Cincinnati and place, ups. That's a kind of but they have the better record, but to me, it's still going to be an upset, in a sense. So I like Indy here. I could see it going either way. This is such a toss up to me, but I like Indy here. I think they get, they're sitting pretty good at 7-5. I think they're going to get to 8-5, and I think they really want to, continue to prove people wrong with the season that they were projected to have.
I agree with you. This was probably one of the 3 tougher games to pick. Gardner Minshew, probably my favorite backup quarterback in the league outside of Jacoby Brissett. Jake Browning has come in and played very well these last few games. One against Baltimore. I think the other one was against Pittsburgh, and now against Jacksonville. 3 teams that are playoff contenders, if not better. So what he's been showing me, being a little bit more consistent than what I see from Gardner Minshew week to week, I do want to say I have a little bit more confidence in Cincinnati this week, especially at home. With hopefully they do use Joe Mixon more. They did this past week than they did in week 12, and it seemed to benefit them a little bit. So hopefully they stick with that formula, a little bit more balanced. And the fact that he kind of find that rapport with Jamar Chase, 11 for 149, I think he's going to feel very comfortable going back to that guy over there. So Bengals. Jaguars at 8-4 on the road at Cleveland, 7-5. How you feel about this one? 2 backup quarterbacks in this one again.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. This is another tough one, but I gotta go Jacksonville here. It's just I don't trust or like Joe Flacco. So that's my only reason for this one.
God, you did maybe just influence my pick. I forgot Joe Flacco was over there. I got my dog Brown on. I was ready to go with this team. I think I still am, and I think I like the defense against a backup quarterback. I think they'll be opportunistic. What the Jaguars did last week, they're either going to come out do something similar, or they're going to come out and prove that that's not the kind of defense we are. Hopefully it's the former, and Joe Flacco can have a decent game and lead the Browns to a victory. Texans at 7-5 on the road at the Jets, 4-8. Now on paper, easy pick Texans, but you think about it, down a couple weapons, especially the big one in Tank Dell against a team like the Jets with that defense. It might be hard for a young quarterback and C.J. Stroud to generate some offense in the pass game. The rushing game really hasn't been there, but the Jets are the Jets, and they have a Jets quarterback, so I am going with the Texans.
Yeah, look, I could see, especially being a home game for New York, I think they could probably get something rolling by a couple turnovers maybe. But I just, based off of how CJ has been playing overall this year, even without Tank Dell, I think he's able to find his weapons that he knows is out there. And I really like DeMeco Ryans and this defense that they have up and coming. So I'm going with Houston here. I just think, and like I said, I've said it all season long as the losses have piled up for New York. That defense, the wind's been long gone out of their sails. They really have nothing to play for anymore. Aaron's not coming back this year. the quarterback situation is messy. They just got rid of Adrian Amos, who signed with Houston. So, you know, he might have him. He might give
That'll
him a
be a
few tips. I
greatest
don't
Oklahoma
know, but I'm
City
going
in
with
the locker
Houston.
room. Fair enough. We have a division game here. 3 of them actually to finish this out before we get to the 3:30 games. Detroit at 9-3 on the road at Chicago 4-8. How we feeling?
Detroit. I mean, Chicago put up a fight the last time they played them, and they could do it again, obviously. But I think we're at a critical point in the season right now where Detroit's kind of had a couple, 2-3 games where it's been a lot of turnovers and bad defensive play. I am still very questionable on that defense, and I probably will be the whole season going into the playoffs and after the playoffs. But I think they get it done in Chicago. I mean, Chicago, they can't afford to stack up too many more wins if they want, good draft status. So I'm just, Detroit for this one.
That's fair. I think Detroit has a lot to prove to us in this game. They've kind of been backsliding these past few weeks here. This is a team where you should go out, put your foot on their throat, and dominate. But the Bears, I think, are winners of 2 of their last 4, and they have played teams in the division very well this year. We know they're capable of putting up points. I mean, 40 seems to be the outlier, but they have been in most of these games lately. The defense, as of late, has picked up the intensity and the effectiveness with the turnover proneness of Jared Goff. It is a little bit of a concern for me that this team is on the road in a hostile environment, but I do think the Lions will pull this one out. Tampa Bay at 5-7 on the road at Atlanta 6-6. Here we go. Where's this division going?
I think Atlanta caught. They beat Tampa Bay the first matchup this year by 3 points, 16-13, I think it was. It's a division game. I think Tampa Bay is gonna have enough film from this year on them. I'm the division games. A lot of times you gotta tend to pick it as a split for the season most times. And I'm going Tampa Bay here. I don't like what I see from Atlanta. I don't think I ever will this year until they get rid of Arthur Smith, until they revamp everything over there. It's just it's hard to pick them for me. So if they give me a loss, so be it. But I'll take Baker and Tampa Bay over Ritter in Atlanta.
I'm going to have to agree with you because although as much as I do believe in Baker not showing up in big games or games that matter, Desmond Ritter is absolutely awful. And I just can't see him beating a team like the Buccaneers right now. Panthers at 1-11. At New Orleans 5-7. Another NFC South battle. This one isn't going to take long. I got the Saints.
Saints, there's nothing to discuss here.
Well, let's go here because there's a lot to discuss. I see you have your Raiders black and silver on today. We have the Vikings on the road in Las Vegas, 6-6 at 5-7. How you feel about that one?
I'm nervous. I mean, I don't trust the Vikings with anything in my body. I just can't. With that being said, though, I am picking the Vikings because it's going to be JJ's first game back in quite a while. I think it's going to be, turn up time for the offense. It might not be pretty all game long because Dobbs is the quarterback still, but there's going to be exciting moments with this offense with JJ back. So, and I think the Raiders are going to be so focused on stopping JJ that it's going to open up so much more with the other guys. And, Dobbs is pretty comfortable with those guys. So give me Minnesota in this one.
We have the Vikings here fighting for a 6th seed. We have the Raiders trying to stay in the hunt here in the AFC. This is Vikings at 305, though. Let's not forget. This is not the new Vikings that we're used to. This is a different Raiders team. I do want to pick the Raiders, but their offensive struggles in the second half really worry me. I'm going to go Vikings slightly. I think this is a game that you have to pull out, and I think you will. Seattle at 6-6 at San Francisco 9-3.
San Fran, nothing to discuss.
Moving on. Broncos at 5-7 at the Chargers 5-7 in this AFC West battle. 2 teams again with their seasons on the line. The loser of this one, pack up your bags, hop on the next train smoking out of here.
Bye, Brandon.
Oh, this is it.
This
Thank
is
God.
it.
We got to speak this one into existence, man.
I'm
I
going
agree, man.
Denver.
I agree. What was it, 6-0 last week against New England?
Yep.
I think Sean Payton's gonna dominate this team, honestly. At least that's what I'm praying for. Buffalo at 6-6 on the road at the Chiefs, 8-4 Sunday night football. Cap off a pretty good Sunday with a pretty decent game. Two teams that we thought would be probably 1-2 or 1-3 or 2-3 or something like that in the AFC. Kind of trying to find their footing, mainly Buffalo, but Chiefs don't look like the dominant team they've looked like over the past few years. How we feeling about this one here?
I'm a little nervous for this for Kansas City based off of how they laid an egg at Lambeau. Um, if Kansas City is as good as people still think they are, they shouldn't have lost to Green Bay the way they did. Green Bay
Mm-hmm.
is not that good. Jordan Love is still not that good, and everyone wants to anoint the motherfucker now because he's had a couple good weeks and they're on a little bit of a run. The Green Bay is not there. I'm not even gonna go there, but they're just not that good still. And I don't see it. I don't see it with Jordan Love, bro. I just don't. So I don't know. I feel like this is a game that Buffalo can go into Kansas City, and after the 3 consecutive years with Kansas City games and it ending poorly for Buffalo, I can see this being a Buffalo victory where it's like, hey, we got the monkey off our back. But with that being said, I'm still going Kansas City because they're at home. They got a bone to pick with, with showing that they're still that team to beat in the AFC after that crappy game at Lambeau. So give me Kansas City here, but I will not be surprised if Buffalo pulls off an upset here.
Very, very tough time to catch the Bills, especially after that loss against Green Bay. They're coming off a bye, and they are 500. They probably expected to be 9-3 or somewhere around there at this point. So they're desperate. They're probably going to take a page out of Dan Campbell's book and start biting some kneecaps during this game. And you should expect it. You know what I mean? I do have the Chiefs slightly pulling this one out, but if they don't win this one, then I am going to be concerned about them. Speaking of those Packers you just mentioned, they are 6-6 on the road at the Giants, who are 4-8.
Hold up. I think we
Did we skip one?
skip one because you called that Sunday Night Football. Sunday Night Football is Philly versus Dallas.
Excuse me. So, still a good way to cap off the weekend. Philly versus Dallas. So, what is this? At Philly or at Dallas?
At Dallas.
At Dallas, and this is what 10-2 at 9-3, I believe.
Yes, sir.
So we had Philly last week talking about, will they be the 1 seed in the whole tournament? Now we're talking about they could possibly be the 5 seed in the NFC if they lose this game and lose home field advantage completely. So I don't have to say much. All the chips are in the middle of the table on this when everything is on the line. How we feeling about it? Is Philly bouncing back or is Dallas taking control?
I think this will be the one game where we see a Dallas team come to actually fight and do everything they can to pull off the win. But I'm going Philly here. I don't like Dallas, never will. And I'm gonna, be the Debbie Downer for them. I just feel like Philly, they got San Fran obliterated Philly and Dallas this year, embarrassed both of them. Philly has, and Philly's fresh off that loss. And I don't think that's a time Dallas wants to see Philly when they're upset. So I'm going Philly here, and I think a lot of Dallas fans are going to be crying on Monday.
I'm going to go Philly, even though I agree. I think Dallas will be hungry, and this will probably be one of the more competitive games they've put up against the top NFC contenders over the past few years. I just think the way Philly is built internally is just it's like a whole bunch of adults in the room over there. And it starts with Jalen Hurts, just the way he conducts himself, the way they're going to bounce back from this game. You're going to forget that they lost to San Francisco. Now let's get to those Packers. 6-6 on the road at the Giants, 4-8. Green Bay, winners of 4 out of their last 5. Giants, winners of 2 in a row. Tommy DeVito in that quarterback again. How we feeling?
Look,
Packers gonna go on a hot streak, huh?
I got to make smart pick here, which is Packers, just because I can't trust the Giants and everything that they're fucking doing over there. So I got to go Packers here. But at the same time, I still stand by what I said. I don't think the Packers are that great. I don't think Jordan Love is all of a sudden become this franchise guy. you look at that Kansas City game, he still had many passes that were damn near laughable. I mean, he's still very inaccurate. He makes poor decisions a lot of times, and whether it's overthrow, underthrow, I mean, he still has a lot of kinks to work out if he wants to be that guy. But just because they're on a little bit of a win streak, like I said, we are in a day and age where everyone is so overreactionary to every little thing, especially in the NFL, because it's week to week. Go ahead, buy that lottery ticket all you want, rub it up, hope, pray on it, everything you want to do as a Packer fan that you got your third franchise guy in a row. I don't see it though. He's got a lot more games to go and a lot more to prove to make me believe that he is that guy. And I'm not just going to sit here and say that's, he's that franchise guy because that's what he's supposed to be after Rodgers and Favre. Like, that don't make no sense to me. So there's a lot of flaws with this Green Bay Packers team. Even if they do sneak into the playoffs, which they very well could be, this team's going to get murdered the first game.
A 7-2 against San Fran or Philly, Dallas is probably not going to be the greatest matchup for Green Bay, but it'll be a learning experience, if anything. Our last game of the week won't be great for this team either. The Titans at 4-8 on the road at the Dolphins 9-3. Miami, they've just been able to put up points these past few weeks like no other team that I can remember in recent history. They are just blowing teams out of the water. They're exciting to watch. They do it fast. They do it quick. They do it in a hurry. And a lot of that falls on number 10. I'm going to go Miami in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Miami here too. I think it's an easy pick, obviously. But at the same time, I just don't see, while they are so exciting and this and that, and obviously you have to believe in this team at this point. I just don't know if they have the makeup. They're not a tough, hard-nosed football team. They're very like
find out a lot when they play Baltimore.
Yeah, they're gonna hit a brick wall when they get to the playoffs.
I agree. If they don't get that number 1 seed specifically, like I mentioned, the teams like Detroit or Seattle that are more finesse, it seems like the teams like San Fran, Philly, and Baltimore are having their way with them. And Miami seems to be one of those more finesse teams, even though in the trenches, they can be physical at times, but we're going to see. They are pretty balanced. They're not as finesse as some of those other teams, but they do worry me in the winter. They do worry me in the cold, and they do worry me because the running backs are hurt every other week, and there's going to be a lot of pressure put on Tyreek Hill and Tua, which against some of these better defenses in the AFC, I think they'll be able to neutralize at least half of that attack. You know what I mean? So we'll see about Miami down the road. But you got anything else for this episode?
No, I'm good to go. Obviously, we will revisit this come Sunday night and see how the weekend shook up. But I mean, yeah, we're getting It's funny when we talk about Gravedigger. So my first Gravedigger was Green Bay, obviously, and they went on a little bit of a run, shocking people. But look, I'm still speaking like that is that's the same Packers team I named as a Gravedigger, bro. So I stand by that. We all know that this NFL season year to year is funky as hell when we get to the middle parts to the later parts with injuries piling up, this and that. I mean, granted, obviously this is their first year with him as a full-time starter, so they had to work some kinks out. So yes, they have gotten better, but they are still that same team where it's not the same Packers, bro. It's just not the same Packers. They are a different type of Green Bay Packer team, and they're not a team to be feared. That's all I can say.
It's not the same team. I don't know if you fear them, but right now you're both at 6-6.
Oh,
if they
right.
win and you lose,
but look, we're not 6-6. We're farther up than 6-6 if we have Kirk, bro. That's a fact.
Well, the fact is, with Kirk, you weren't even a 500 team, and Dobbs got you up to that record. If you want to say Dobbs got you up to that record,
I don't want to say he got us up to that record. I just think, a lot of things shook our way like it did last year for those wins to come with him stepping in.
He didn't get you to that record, but Zach Wilson wasn't getting you to that record. You know what I mean?
Right. And for me, it's like if Kirk doesn't go out during that Green Bay game, I think I don't remember what the direct schedule was after that, but I think Atlanta was the first one. We're not losing. We're not. Atlanta's not a. I'm not gonna say it's blowout, but it's not like a down to the wire game if Kirk's playing that. I just think that the way he was playing up until he got injured, we're at least a 8-4 team right now, in my eyes.
That's fair. With that schedule, that's fair. Well, 7-5, I'm very comfortable saying that. 8-4, I don't know. You'd probably have to win all those games in a row, which again was feasible.
We're not losing. We're not losing to Chicago. We're not losing to Chicago if Kirk's in there.
You did lose to the Bears?
You don't remember?
I do remember now. I do remember now. I would hate to see you lose to the Raiders after you put them in Gravediggers too. That'd be terrible.
That would be terrible. But look, week to week is so funky in this NFL season, especially when you get past probably week 6. It's all like picking games is a goddamn lottery ticket.
Might as well just spin the wheel. You don't know what's going to happen in most of these instances.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, well, this week is gonna be interesting. Obviously, a lot of games with playoff implications. So Sunday night we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
And this is probably the last week of Gravediggers where it's going to be difficult because, like you said, you put Raiders and Packers in there. They're both still alive. Vikings lose this game. They're obviously in contention, but you can't count them. Like you can't count anybody out after this week. So this is when it gets fun, really.
No.
But yeah, that's it for me, man. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yep.
Until next time, we appreciate y'all. Peace.